So when you look at the situation between Israel and Gaza, it's not one that can easily be defined because of the attacks that occurred in October. You see what I'm saying? You have to really kind of go back in history. You have to kind of understand the geography of the land, how it came to be, and why they're actually fighting, and so much struggle going on between Israel and Gaza. You see what I'm saying? So currently, when you look at the wall, many people will say, oh, the attacks by Hamas were no good. They shouldn't have never done that. And Israel has the right to defend itself. Well, when you go back in time, you look at the historical reference points, that was not just simply an attack. That was a military operation on behalf of Hamas. You see what I'm saying? And so with Israel saying that it has the right to defend itself, well, you really don't have the right to defend yourself if you're an occupier of the particular land mass. You see what I'm saying? Like you don't belong there technically, so you really can't say that you have a right to defense. You see what I'm saying? So we have to kind of listen to the wording. You got to kind of make sense of both sides, where they're coming from. From the side of Hamas are saying, hey, you know, we don't like the mistreatment. We don't like the Palestinians being treated as second-class citizens or permanent underclass citizens. They don't, you know, we don't like that. That's what Hamas is saying, right? Israel is saying we have the right to exist and we're doing this for our safety and security and yada, yada, yada. We all understand these two sides. But when you look at the Palestinian people, they really don't have an army, and they really don't have a way to technically, quote unquote, push back or fight back against Israel. You see what I'm saying? So, you know, as a journalist, when I look at the situation, I say, hey, you know, you got the big kid on the block, you know, kind of bullying the kid who really can't fight back. And that's essentially what Israel is. I mean, when you consider all of the bomb strikes, the planes, the tanks, all the different things that Israel has access to, and by the way, they wouldn't have access to it if it wasn't for the U.S. government. And I'm going to say this as a small caveat here. Israel could not do what it does if it wasn't for the United States. Point blank, plain and simple. They would not be able to survive in a region, because if you look around, it's nothing but Arab and Muslim countries surrounding Israel. You see what I'm saying? So Israel is artificially pumped up. You know what I'm saying? Just as much as it was artificially created. You know what I'm saying? Back in 1947, 48 or whatever, it became a state, right? But again, you can't essentially bully your way into taking other people's stuff and not expect for a organization like Hamas or even Hezbollah to look at their situation and say, hey, you are desecrating a group of people who can't fight back in the region. You see what I'm saying? So the attacks that were committed by Hamas in October was technically a military operation. It was a well thought out, well planned military operation. And the Mossad on the Israeli side, the agency there, which is like an intelligence agency for them, it's impossible for people to sit down and say, hey, we didn't know that Hamas was planning such, because they have records of, you know what I'm saying, them planning such. They just didn't think that they had the gall, right, to follow through on their military operation. And I remember having a conversation with two FBI people, two FBI agents, and I told them, I said, the worst thing you can do is underestimate your quote-unquote opponent or enemy or your opposition. That is the worst thing you can ever do. And they looked at me, and this is in regards to organizations such as Hezbollah or whatever. I said, you can't underestimate these people. You have to respect your quote-unquote enemy. And if you don't, you get what you have today with Israel being in the position that they are, having to bomb civilians. I mean, to date, when you really look at Israel to date, you're looking at slightly over 6,000 people. I'm sorry, 6,000 children, you know what I'm saying, being killed out of a total up to date of maybe slightly over 14,000, I think is what it is. So really half of the people that Israel is quote unquote carrying out their offensive or their self-defense measures on are innocent people who have absolutely no way of fighting back. You know what I'm saying? Like they're going to say something to the effect of, oh, well, we're going to eliminate Hamas, which, you know, anybody that's in the know, you don't even have to be a photojournalist or a journalist at all, or even a reporter to know that Israel cannot rid themselves of Hamas. Okay, like that's not going to happen. It's wishful thinking on Benjamin Netanyahu. You know, good luck, you know, making that fairy tale come true. I think and again, this is just a perspective of a journalist. When I look at that situation, I see it as one that Israel is going to lose. They're already losing. Israel technically doesn't really know what it's going to do. It's playing it by ear. It's playing it as the minute by minute as the days goes on, as new developments come in. So they don't really have a solid quote unquote plan to eliminate Hamas. You know what I'm saying? And they will say, well, they were running tunnels under the hospital. Okay, that very well may be. But again, to outright bomb a hospital saying that, hey, because they were carrying out a military strike against Israel or there was some kind of weapons found, you know, it still doesn't give you the right to indiscriminately bomb a hospital. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, who does that? You know what I'm saying? Well, apparently Israel does that. You know what I mean? Unfortunately, you know what I mean? But it doesn't look good optically. It's not good for, I want to say conventional warfare. It doesn't look good for that. And at the end of the day, very end of the day, Israel is going to lose this one. It doesn't matter how much money they extract from the United States. And when we start talking about money being extracted from the United States or given to them from the United States, we're looking at a situation in which the people or the politicians in Washington, they are so manipulated and they are so afraid to be called anti-Semitic or anti-Jewish that they'll just rubber stamp anything that Israel says it wants, needs, and declares, right? And I think that a lot of people around the world are starting to wake up to that fact that, you know, wrong is wrong, you know what I'm saying? And the sanctioning of such actions by Israel onto the Palestinian people in pursuit of Hamas is something that should not be tolerated on the world stage. You see what I'm saying? Because, again, I have to look at all of this information and data points coming into me every single day. You see what I'm saying? And I don't think that Israel is going to win this one. I really think that... Let me choose my words very carefully here because I don't want to misspeak. The Palestinian people are going to need more than Hamas. They are technically going to need a country like Iran. They are going to need Israel's most feared, quote-unquote, foe, Hezbollah. They're going to need them to give that pushback that's necessary, because when you look at that situation, you know, the amount of money that's being poured into Israel via the UK, via the United States and other countries that are in support of Israel and things like that, they're going to need more backing. And I don't know exactly how much Hamas has in their financial backing or whatever. I don't know. But we do know that they are being funded by, places like Iran and different things like that. We just don't know. You know what I'm saying? Their true capabilities, we really don't know. No one knows what they have in their arsenal and inventory. No one knows. So they're not going to give that out so freely. They just rather just use it and you just find out when it happens or thing like that. It's insane. But most definitely at the end of the day, whether you like Israel or not, whether you are pro-Israeli or not, Israel is going to lose this particular battle. The old saying is, Israel is good at killing, but they're not good at winning. Especially when you have to take in consideration that they have to have backing by nations such as the U.S. and the UK and other countries that pretty much are their puppeteers for, well, I won't say puppeteers because Israel is the one doing the manipulation here. But most definitely Israel is being used as a proxy by much larger nations, and that fact in itself cannot be ignored.